The lecture number 9, Interacting with Web Elements in Selenium Webdriver in Java course. In this lecture, you will learn how to work with edit box, drop-down, checkbox, radio button, and how to work with other controls like text area, etc. And how to send data into the edit boxes, how to read the data, how to select the value from drop-down, how to see what value is selected in the drop-down, or how to print the list of all the options, then how to see if the checkbox is enabled, selected, or displayed, etc. So let us start with the coding. In this IntelliJ, I have created one class called as interact test, and over there, before I jump into the code, let me explain you what application we are going to automate. So here we have opened this newtors.demo.aut.com, and if you go to the home page, over there you will find that there are edit box tutorial password, and from inspecting the elements you can find that these elements have got the name as username and then password has got the name as password. So we have used those attributes to find the elements and then clicked on the sign in button. So to enter the data you have to use the send keys method, and to read the data you have to use get attribute method to get the value that is displayed in the read box. So here you will notice that I have used get attribute method, and this username is nothing but the object of this type web element, which we have found using normal driver.find element method. So in here what we are going to do is we are going to select one way, then select the value 2 from this passengers count drop down, and then click on continue. So to select the value like one way flight, then you have to write the XPath expression for that, and then to click on this particular radio button you have to use the click method. Then to select the value from the drop down you need to first of all find the select tag and its name as pass count. So we are going to use this pass count as well. So here in the code you will notice that we have used this pass count, and then to like work with the drop down you need to use this class new select. And if you look at the package in which this select class is available, we'll notice that class is available in the org.openqa org.openqa selenium support UI. So remember that you need to import that package in your code. And then to select the value you have to use the select by visible text method. So there are three methods in which you can select the value from drop down: select by visible text, select by index, and you can notice that there are three methods: select by index, select by value, and select by visible text. So when I say select by visible text, it actually selects the value that is actually displayed in the drop down. Then select by index is actually selects the value based upon index, like the order in which the options are there. And select by value is actually uses the value attribute of that select element. For example, if you expand that there are so many options, and then when I say select by value it uses this select by value this value, and when I say select by visible text it actually gets the value from this option element, that is the inner text of that. Now after that what we have done is we have used this clicked on this economy class. Again, to find that economy class just right click, and then over there you will find that its name is serve class and then value is coach. So we have used those things to find the XPath expressions, and as you can see we have used this XPath expression to find that particular radio button. Then we have used this methods is selected, is enabled, is displayed. So is selected method is actually returns true if the element is clicked or selected, and is enabled method returns true if the element is like enabled, or if it is disabled it will return false. And finally we have what is displayed, which returns true if the element is actually displayed on the web page, otherwise it returns false. So that thing we have done. And finally we have checked that this form contains the section as flight details, this one, and for that we have used this particular XPath, that is the first TD in that form. And once we get the data we are just checking if that contains flight details. and then printing this. So I'm just gonna execute this code. Before I execute, let me explain each and every line in here. So you must be aware about this particular syntax which we have already covered. Then what we are doing is going to this particular URL, then finding the element whose name attribute is username, then send keys is used to send the data in that particular edit box. So we are sending tutorial in the username. Then in the password field we are sending the tutorial once again, because that is the default username and password. Now next thing that we are going to do is we are getting the attribute value from that username. So what we are doing is we are checking if that particular username is actually entered in that edit box. Then we are clicking on the login button. Then we are clicking on one-way flight, that radio button. Next we are selecting the drop down value. So pass count is the name of that drop down, and then use this new select syntax. Select by visible text method is used to select the value from that drop down. Next thing what we are printing is we are checking what value you have selected in that drop down. So to get the value from the drop down, you have to use this method, get first selected option. This method you can use, and then you can use the get text, which will get the text that is like selected in the drop down, which we are printing later. And finally we are checking if the what kind of service class we are traveling by, or default service class if it is economy class or not, and it is displayed and it is enabled. So we are just printing that, and then finally we are checking if the flight details label is displayed or not. So I'm just gonna execute this program and then see what happens. All it is going to do is log in and then select one-way flight for 2 passengers, and it will also print a bunch of stuff. So it will go to the home page of that website. That is the website, test website by the HP. So you can use that website for the automation purpose. It will enter tutorial, click on sign in, then click on one-way flight on the second page. We'll select 2 passengers and then click on continue. And in this output, you can see that username is printed as tutorial, passenger count is 2. It has printed true because it returns, these methods return true if the limit is selected, enable and displayed respectively. And finally it says I found the flight details. I hope you liked this particular lecture, and stay tuned for new interesting lectures that are coming in this particular course. Thanks for attending.